Hello and welcome back to a weekly market recap. Just me this week. Let's get to it. So this past week we saw the market up 0.4%, which brings us up year to date 16.33% in the S&P 500. And really a short trading week, started trading on Tuesday, ended on Friday. Not a ton of news within the stock market, but some outside news specifically around the Delta variant came into the market and had some pretty big reactions. So if we look at the past week in the market, we see a little bit of volatility up, into the week, but really a recovery back to all-time highs. We were testing all-time highs on Wednesday, and then all of a sudden Thursday we just get some bad news about the Delta variant, and the market really starts to drop, recovers a little bit throughout the day, ends back down, and then on Friday we almost see a complete full recovery, and we actually do end up touching all-time highs at the close. So a couple things that this brings up, which is pretty interesting, is the market has not really priced in a lot of fear around the Delta variant. And one of the main reasons is because in the US, where we're so heavily vaccinated, around 66% of people are vaccinated at least one dose, the Delta variant isn't as worrisome, or at least not currently. However, if the Delta variant in other countries and if it starts to pick up steam in the US, what could potentially happen? Are we going to have to go to another lockdown? Are we going to have to shut down again? And these are kind of the questions that were plaguing the market on Thursday. And really, we saw a dramatic sell-off just across the board. The 10-year Treasury, which measures inflation and somewhat economic recovery, that plummeted. And it starts to lead to the question of, where are we in the economic growth coming out of this? Are we going to see more hiccups that the market was not foreseeing, like the Delta variant becoming a much bigger threat? And with all these nuances in the market, we really saw a big sell-off and then a recovery, not necessarily turning away, but I think it was, what is the reality of these pieces happening? And we saw some bad news on Thursday. The market started to digest it. And then on Friday, we hit all-time highs. I still think the market is really pricing to perfection the economic recovery. So if we do see news that comes out, if we do have to see lockdowns in other countries or potentially even in the US, we could really see these massive volatility swings, and specifically to the downside, because I think right now the market really is pricing in. We've passed COVID. Now we're going to reopen. We're going to get really stellar economic growth numbers. And if we don't start hitting those, I could see a turn to the downside within the market. Now, one thing that we're definitely looking forward to is next week, we are seeing core CPI data. As you know, that's one of the best measures for inflation. So we're going to get June's numbers, and it'll be interesting to see. We're now out of the base effect. So all the really bad year over year numbers aren't going to be there. What does inflation look like now? Have we hit an inflection point within inflation month over month? These are the pieces that we'll be looking significantly, and likely the market will move if either the inflation comes way higher or lower, depending. Well, anyways, I know this is another quick weekly market recap. Not a ton of news within the market, not a ton of economic catalysts, but we did see some fears around the coronavirus and the Delta variant specifically move the market. As always, we're here to support you. Your money's here to support you, and I'll see you again next week.